I'm here to help you learn how to make a card similar to this, or like this, or maybe just like it, I don't know. This technique is something that I came up with to use the new alcohol markers that Stampin' Up! Sells called Blendabilities. But if you don't have those, you certainly can use any other alcohol markers, and or Sharpies will work for this technique. Long ago and far away, there was a demonstrator who did this little technique she called cheater's glitter painting, and it was messy, and it didn't really give you great results because the colors were not very sharp, and so she didn't really do it a lot after that, but she kept this piece because she just doesn't ever throw anything away, and that would be me. Okay, this though turns out much better than that. It's not messy. It's very easy actually, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. I use the new polymer set that's available called Gentle Piece, and I'm going to show you how to do this, which I will call Cheater's Glitter Painting version 2. Alright, you're going to need your stamp, and you're going to need StazOn. And people will say, oh, you can't use StazOn on polymer stamps. Well, that's not true. You can use StazOn, you just can't use StazOn Cleaner. So while you'll be able to get most of this ink off your stamp, it's going to stain it a little bit, but that's okay, because that's what we do when we use stamps. We stain them. I'm sorry if you don't agree, but it's true. Okay, the thing about StazOn is that it is not that easy to get it to stay on, because you have to be very quick to get your acetate, which is what this is, or a window sheet, whatever you want to call it. You need a piece of acetate, you need your StazOn, and I'm going to go ahead and get this started by putting some ink on my stamp. But you see, this stuff dries so fast that when I slap this down here, and what I like to do is take my bone folder and just rub it all over the place, I'm going to find when I peel it up that some places aren't that great. I'll show you what I mean with a piece of paper here. If I slip this under here, you're going to see, or maybe you won't, that some of the parts of the images didn't really ink up very well. But the great thing about it is this polymer stamp is sticky, and I can just peel it back, add some more ink to the top of the image again, flip it back down, give it another burnish, and I can do that to the bottom. And give that another burnish to get more ink on the areas that didn't ink up well the first time. And once I pull this up, I'm going to find much better result. As you can see, sometimes you'll get a few patchy areas. If they really bother you, you can take a Sharpie to them later. Now what I'm looking at is actually the back of the image, so I need to flip this over. This is actually the front. And what I'm going to proceed to do at this point is color this with some alcohol markers, which I'm going to use Blendabilities. The darker color, the better, usually, because once you're done coloring it, you're going to be putting something behind it that's going to make it look lighter. And it doesn't really lay down that much. So I want to color on the back of the image. And I'm going to start with Mary's veil here, and Mary is traditionally wears blue, so I will use this Coastal Cabana. And we'll just go ahead and lay down some nice color. You can let it dry and add another layer if you want to try to darken it up, but really it looks fine. It's going to look a little watercolory-ish looking, but once you add the thing behind it that's going to make it look glittery, you won't notice those areas quite so much. And if you find that you go over the line, you can always use the color lifter and nicely erase those parts that you went over. Now I could tediously color this over and you would like go, Jan, I'm so bored. I mean, come on, I know how to color. And so I'm going to skip ahead to where I have already colored most of this and show you how I did the actual background part. And that was with Night of Navy. And of course, I just went ahead and colored, and this is the medium, because the light just doesn't do much, but the dark is a little dark. And so I'm going to go ahead and lay down the medium of this marker. And then what I'm going to do is take the darkest one and go around the edges of each pane, as you can see there. And then I'll go back with medium with the brush end and just sort of go in the center. See how I did these, and sort of blend them together to get them to look nice. And even after these have dried, which this has, when you color over them again, it reactivates them. And so you get more of that dimensional look when you do that. And you'll want to do all of your little panes of glass here. When I was done coloring, through the magic of television, I have this. And this, like I said, is the back. So I'm going to flip it over. That's the front. And then here's where the magic comes in. I took a piece of silver glimmer paper. Now this is the old silver glimmer. The new silver glimmer might be a little more silvery than this, but this is the old, and you can see how gorgeous that is when you lay it over that. I tried the Dazzling Diamonds paper, which actually I only have a few strips left, so I sort of stuck them together so I could see what it looked like. It's still pretty, but it just isn't quite as pretty as the silver, I don't think. So you can use either one, and either one will look good. And actually, you can even use gold, and that looks pretty tasty too. I kind of like that. But I think silver looks the best because you can see more of the image. And then, of course, I put this behind a mat because I couldn't think of any way of sticking these two pieces together that wouldn't show and look ugly. And so I ended up cutting a custom mat so that I could frame that really nice on this card. And that is how you do Cheater's Glitter Painting version 2. And you're going to say, how do I get the Stays on ink off of my stamp? Well, you just use Stampin' Up! Mist. And it takes a little bit of elbow grease to get most of the ink off. But if you work it, it comes off just with mist. You don't need the Stays On cleaner, which I have been told will damage your stamps. And you can get a toothbrush and get in there and sort of scrub it out. And the final thing I would do probably is just to pop it in a little dish of water to get the residue off. And that'll clean it the rest of the way and make it nice and sticky on the back if you're having problems with that too. Anyway, so as you can see, I'm just going to keep rubbing it. It'll keep coming off until I get as much off as I can, and then I'll stop. And that is how you clean off the Stays On ink from your stamp without the Stays On cleaner. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching.